Hello and welcome to this special California edition of Burning Earth Radio. This is your host, Gerard Spring, coming to you from the island of La Gomera. So, after a couple storms here in the Canary Islands, the Azores High has reestablished itself. And this is not the only place in the world that the weather has been going a bit awry over the past couple of days. So, I want to zoom out here and swing over to the continent of North America, and in particular, swing on down into the California region. I'm going to stop here and just take a look at the temperatures in North America right now. Overall, for February, this is quite warm, and near the end of the broadcast, I'm going to take a moment to check these in the climate reanalyzer so you can get a sense of how off these temperatures are for this time of year. Looking at large temperature anomalies over North America of 15 degrees in some places, 10 degrees Celsius in some places, and up into Canada almost 20 degrees warmer. So it's almost as if there's no winter season coming to the North American continent. So if we swing up here into the jet stream and we take a look at the wind power density, we'll notice that the jet stream overall is very broken up. It's very distributed, and there's not a lot of structure in the jet stream that we would typically expect for the wintertime season. And what this is going to do is it's going to bring a lot of kind of off-seasonal weather, droughts to certain regions, deluges to certain regions. And if you remember, not so long ago in Southern California, we had a very significant drought season. And now all of a sudden we're having torrential rains, which can be quite bad for erosion, especially on the coastal regions, the littoral regions, where you have a lot of sandstone, a lot of loose rock. You can have landslides, and these types of things are very common on the Pacific Coast Highway, for example. So if we swing down here and step to the 3-hour precipitation average, I want to step gradually back in time and watch as this storm passes over Southern California. Stepping back to the 17th, we can see that we have this very strong, well-developed region of rain over the Los Angeles Basin area in particular. So for this particular storm, we have 46.6 millimeters of rain right here in Los Angeles. Very, very large amount of rain for a California storm. It's also useful to take a moment to look at the total precipitable water and humidity and try and get a sense of where this moisture is coming from. So if we swing down to the surface, for example, and look at the relative humidity, we can see we have a lot of humid air getting pulled up from the tropics in this case and getting entrained into this weather system. So we have very high relative humidity all up and down the California coast. And if we zoom out a little bit more, we can see that a lot of this moisture is tropical in origin. If we look at the total precipitable water, we can maybe see this feature a bit more obviously kind of arcing up from even Hawaii over here. I can go ahead and downsize this so you guys can see. We have air flowing down, and then this kind of jet of moisture is being pulled up along and getting entrained into this low pressure system. And we have another low pressure system forming up here up to the north. So this is an interesting situation because typically what we expect is we have winter storms coming across the northern Pacific Ocean and then dropping down, and gradually these get pushed further south. And then we get maybe some rains here in the Southern California region. So to have this more tropical origin of the moisture is an interesting weather observation, I would say. I wouldn't necessarily call it an anomaly because these types of things can happen. However, this storm was certainly anomalous in terms of the total amount of precipitation that it brought to the Southern California region. So I also want to take a moment to swing back to the 3-hour precipitation average and just gradually step back one day and watch as this storm forms. Just jumping 3 hours ahead at a time here. You can see that the moisture is coming up. It's forming. We have a storm kind of brewing here, almost to the Catalina Island, coming in. And then we have these massive clouds of moisture building up off the California coast as moisture is getting entrained into this low pressure system. Now, it's important to note that this weather system didn't only affect the Southern California region. in particular, if we swing over here and maybe center on Southern California a bit, drop the pin here down near Los Angeles basin area. If we keep swinging forward in time, we can see that this moisture continues to move to the east, bringing very strong rains even down here into the Baja region of Mexico. And I would say that this makes this storm even perhaps more anomalous than it is typically being presented, because this region in Mexico is very, very dry. In fact, especially this central region of the Baja Peninsula is very, very desert, very, very dry. And these types of rainfalls coming through into this region can cause a lot of problems for thermophile forests that are famous, that the Baja Peninsula is famous for. In particular, the large cactus groves, which exist all throughout the peninsula. In fact, we have a couple similar biomes over here in the Canary Islands to what might be seen in Baja, California. So I want to take a moment here and swing over into Climate Reanalyzer and take a look at some of the surface temperature anomalies, in particular in North America. And what we can see here is that the entire North American continent is very much warmer than average, especially down here in the center of the continent, Kansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio region. There's a large area which is about 10 degrees warmer than average, and then swinging up here into Ontario, Manitoba, Saskatchewan, up here into Northwest Territories and up into Nunavut, we have a large swath of area which is 20 degrees or maybe 15 degrees warmer than average. So the entire North American continent is experiencing very, very warm weather, and these temperatures are what we would expect something more in a North American spring. And if we click over, we can see that in Europe, we also have very warm temperatures. Up in Scandinavia, for example, about 8 to 10 degree temperature anomalies, driving some very strong windstorms up here in Scandinavia. And even very strangely here in Africa, in the Western Sahara Desert, very close to where we are here in the Canary Islands, a region where we saw snow very anomalously but a couple of weeks ago, is now experiencing a plus 10 degrees C temperature anomaly. If we click around here, we can see that China is also very warm, as well as the Tibetan Plateau is very warm. And the only real cold area, or anomalously cold area, is up here off of the very, very far east of Russia here. So very strange temperature anomalies going on. Not very indicative of what one would expect for a very late winter season and coming into spring here within the next 4 to 5 weeks or so. So I think it's important to keep these anomalies in mind going forward, because this year is already shaping up to be quite a year for climate change. So if you enjoyed this climate short, this California edition of Burning Earth Radio, please comment, like, and subscribe. And I'm looking forward to having you along in the next one. Thanks so much for listening.